Hello and welcome back to this channel. So today's tutorial is going to be about painting this blueberry branch in Adobe Fresco using watercolor brushes. So let's just get started. So I have my Fresco open. I'm going to click on square. I usually start by sketching my illustration, but for today's tutorial, I'm not going to be doing that. I'll skip right ahead and bring in the sketch that I've already created. Don't worry, you can use this sketch as well. It's available for free download and you can find the link in the description box below. So once you have downloaded it into iPad, all you have to do is click on this image, go to Photos and bring it into Fresco. Okay, so this looks perfectly fine. Click on Done. So you have your berry branch here, and for the colors, I'm going to be using a set of colors. Those are mostly greens, but if you want to know the set of colors that I'm using, I'll be sharing that as well. And this is how you can use it in your Fresco. So download that as well from the link in the description box below. Click on your images and bring it into Fresco. So once you bring it in, you can increase the size like this. It'll be on new layer, so don't worry, you can hide it all the time. So click on Done. And once you have this, you can choose any color that you want. Go to your palette and click on plus under Recents, and it'll add that color to your palette. Alright, so this is how you get all your colors onto your Fresco. Once you have this, click on this I button to make sure that it gets hidden. Now let's go to the sketch layer, click on these levels and make sure it's set to multiply and opacity is reduced because we don't want it messing with our artwork. Click on the layer back again. Now let's go to this new layer. If you don't have it, click on plus to create a new layer, and all the layers are going to be beneath the sketch layer so that we can see the sketch on top of our illustration. So first, let's start off by choosing the brushes. So we're going to be using watercolor brush, and for this one, I'm going to be using watercolor wash flat and sometimes mixing up with watercolor wash soft as well. So it's basically up to you, whichever you want, you can use it. And one thing you want to know is the flow is always set to higher side. It need not be 100, but it can be anywhere in between because we want it to kind of spread a little bit better. So first, let's start off by drawing all the leaves. So I'm not going to draw all the leaves in one single layer because as you can see, there are some leaves which are overlapping others. So we're going to place all the leaves which are in the front on a different layer and the back in separate layers. Go to your selection tool here and make sure if you click again, you can see that it is set to this one right here. Now let's draw the first leaf. Go to your watercolor brush. And I have this color already chosen, so I'm just going to use that. And as you can see, it's on the color wheel right here. So let me just go ahead and draw something here. I've kept the brush size at 512, which is the highest. You don't have to do that. You can keep it at whatever you want. So we're going to create a gradient to our leaf. That is a lighter color here and darker color here where the blueberry overlaps the leaf. We're going to use the same technique for everywhere else as well. So let me just go ahead and pick a dark green. And this is too dark. Let me just uncheck that and make it lighter and draw it here. And now as you can see, it's spreading really nicely, and that's exactly what we want. And this green, I think I'm not too happy with that. I'll choose the other green and color it up a little bit and let them mix a little bit. So let's go ahead and do the next one now, and we'll choose this. Go to your watercolor brush and we'll use the light green again and draw it overall because it's easier. And let's go the darker green. And I'm going to go ahead and add a bit of dark layer over there. Let's make this one right now. And in here again, this area where the blueberry overlaps the leaf is going to be really dark. So let's just do that. You can decrease the size of the brush if you want. And look at how the colors mix. That's so pretty. You can always use the eraser tool to erase things off if you feel like you don't like how that's coming. Let's do this one next. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and choose the dark color, but give it a little shade here in the center. Next one. Let's choose the dark color here and the lighter one in the corners or in the ends of this so that it kind of spreads nicely. I want it to be more green, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And even here, I want this to be a little more green. here as well. Okay, they look good so far. Let's go ahead and draw this one right here. And let's take the dark one, and it's going to be a little like this. Okay, the inner leaves in this layer. So we're gonna go ahead and click on new layer. And you can right now deselect it if you want. So let's go ahead and click on deselect. Now in the new layer, let's go ahead again on our selection tool. And we're going to draw these leaves which are in the background. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to draw the stalk for this one as well. And let's choose the color. And for this, I'm going to use a bit of a darker color. And I will use the lighter one over here a little bit. And since this has been behind, we have to make sure that we draw a little dark green color here. And as you can see, it's top of the other leaf. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull it back so that it goes in the background like this. Let's do the same for this one. And let's make it dark. And let's give some green here to the edge. And we need more. So let's draw this layer here. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw it like this. Okay, and we're going to choose the dark green and draw it like that. We'll do the same thing here as well for this part. Let's go ahead and draw these two things here in the background. You can see this is going all the way here like that. So I'm just going to go ahead. So let me just give some dark color here and here, obviously because it's in the back, but I want to choose some light green and give it to the top. That looks good. Now we have one more leaf in here. So what I'm going to do is deselect this and go to a new layer. And this should be behind everything. So let's put there, and we're going to draw this leaf. Again, it's just a simple leaf like this. You can use the light color and give it to the top, but I'm going to change to darker color and give it somewhere here like this. That looks good. So now it's time to draw the blueberries. So let's go ahead above all the leaf layers and click on new layer. And obviously you can deselect. And now if you want, you can actually dry these layers by clicking and selecting dry layer. But we're going to keep it like that because if you want to add more greens or something, then we can do that. You can actually dry the layers in the end when you think that the artwork is finished, or you can just leave it like that as well. It doesn't matter. So let's go to blueberries now. We're going to use the same technique, that is draw a circle. And you need not draw the perfect oval shape or whatever. So in this, we're going to create a little bit of a gradient. So let's choose the lighter blue. Go to your brush. And you can reduce the size if you want and give some lighter blue here. And then we'll choose a little darker blue. Oops. And give some darker blue here like this. And then we'll choose the darkest blue and give it here like that, so that it spreads, and let it spread. So let's select the next blueberry. You can actually go ahead and select the other one as well. Let's do that. Okay, so let's go to the brush again, and I'm going to add some dark color here and maybe here as well, something like that. And in here, something which goes like this. Let's take the next lighter blue and draw something like that. And obviously the lightest, and this is going to be on top. You can bring it in like this. Okay, that looks good. but we need to go ahead and edit something. So what I'm going to do now is click on this and click on I button so that it's gone. Now we'll go into each leaf layer here and remove all these things which are on the blueberry. That's because since it's watercolor, they are pretty transparent, so these leaves will show up on the blueberry if they are, left like this. So since we have already selected the blueberry layers, keep that selection, go to your leaf layer, let's choose the eraser, and you can reduce the eraser size if you want, and let's go to this layer and just erase it off. You can actually increase as well. Okay, and let's see if there's something here, something here. Now let's go to the other layer. That's good. And this one. And that's perfect. Okay, now you can go ahead and uncheck your blueberry layer, and now you can see the artwork. So now I feel like I need to give it more depth to the blueberries. So I'm just going to go ahead and select the darkest blue that I have and give it a little bit of color like this. And as you can see, since I did not dry the layer, it's still spreading like it's supposed to spread, the watercolor I mean. So that's perfect. Okay, now it's time to make the eyes of these blueberries. So I'm just going to go click on new layer and make sure you deselect this. And now let's make a new selection and go ahead and draw something like this. Don't worry if it goes a bit above the blueberry layer. We are not aiming for perfection. Close enough is good enough. So, okay. So let's go ahead and choose the darkest blue that we have, which we have already chosen. Choose your watercolor brush. And I'm going to make light lines like this. So don't make it too dark like this. It might not look good. Make it light, but a little darker than the original, thing behind. Something like that. And now it looks good. And now we can deselect and you can see the blueberry thing. I'm just going to uncheck the sketch to just take a look at how it's coming up. Oh, it looks very nice and 3D, doesn't it? So let's check back the sketch again because we need to make the stock. So I'm going to go ahead to the leaves layer, click on new layer and probably put it behind all the leaves. And now we're going to go ahead and draw the leaves, and we'll use the same technique because if you use any other brush, it's not going to look that great. And let's just do that. And you just have to draw the stalk. And then go to your watercolor brush and we'll choose the darker green, not the darkest. Yeah, maybe the darkest green, and draw in. Deselect, and you can do the same thing everywhere. Okay, I think all our branches are ready. Deselect and let's get rid of the sketch layer now because now it's going to be simple and easy to proceed with everything else. Next up, we're going to add some fine-tuned lines to this. So now let's go to your leaves layer, click on mask layer content and swipe. And let's go ahead and we'll choose some other brush for this. Let me just go ahead. So go to your painting brushes and in here you have something called as canvas detail and let's try to use that. So I'll choose the dark green and then you obviously have to reduce it. Let me just look at the size. This looks pretty okay, but you can reduce it even more if you want. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and draw. You're going to go ahead and do this to all the leaves that you see here, which are on this layer, by the way. And since you're on mask, don't worry about going out of line because it won't draw anything outside. So sometimes you don't need to draw the whole thing. And now let's go to the other layer. Let's do this. Swipe. Okay, so that looks fine to me. And now is the next part, and that is to add text. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the topmost layer and click on new layer. Go to your text and click. So you want to click in the corner here and click on the keyboard and in here click berry return branch. Okay, and now style text. So we're gonna use a different font. Let's go to more fonts, and in here, let's find something called as typewriter. And I would like something like this maybe. Okay, click on this one again so that it gets selected. And let's choose a typewriter. Okay, this looks good, but I want a different color. I want the dark blue that we had. That looks fine. And I'm going to reduce the artboard size so that I can see it. And click on your font size and try to increase it as much as you can. And you can always move this back here like this. And once you're done, click on these levels and that should be fine. Click on your brush again and your text is ready as well. But it looks a little blank, doesn't it? So we're gonna add some ink splatters. My favorite part of the artwork is adding ink splatters. Before doing that, I see that this blueberry does not have a stalk that goes all the way. So I think that's because this is behind this layer and that's kind of affecting it. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to the top of this layer, or all leaves for that matter, click on new layer. And now it looks better. Coming back to ink splatter, I want one ink splatter above the blueberry branch, but I want another one right behind it. So let's go to our pixel brushes, and in here, if you go to FX, you will see something called as splatter 1, 2, splatter mixed and stuff like that. So we're going to use the splatter 1 and splatter 2. So let's select splatter 1. So make sure you are choosing this dark blue that we have. Go ahead and increase the size a bit, and let's decrease the opacity a little bit. And give some scattering. Okay, that should be fine. And now let's go ahead to the bottommost layer and click on new layer and bring it all the way to the bottom. And let's go to scatter number 2 or splatter number 2. And in here, go to brush settings. And what I've done is I've increased the spacing to about 145%. And under shape dynamics, I've increased the maximum diameter to 72%. What this does is it gives us really big blobs like this, as you can see. So you can add some splatters like that easily. Don't add a lot of them because they don't look good if you do that. So maybe here and there, you can increase the or decrease the size. And yeah, like that, and add some here. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial, and I hope you liked it. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and also that notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. So this is a fun way to use watercolor brushes along with this selection tool because you can control those very crisp edges. Go ahead and download the sketch and the color palette. I'll provide it in the description box below. If you'd like to see more of Fresco videos, I have a whole new playlist called as Fresco. So go ahead and watch it. And I guess I'll see you in the next video then. Bye-bye.